Hi, I'm Tudon Martinez, and today I will be modeling the pencil to paper literacy routine in a social studies classroom. Pencil to paper helps students use informal writing to internalize new learning, make connections, and develop academic language. In the pencil to paper routine, we regularly plan for informal writing throughout the lesson, prepare for writing with structured conversations, scaffold with stems and frames, model new writing to learn tasks, circulate and coach as students write, and scan student writing. Good morning, class.
Good morning, Ms. Martinez.
We're going to start today's lesson by observing a painting. And what I'd like you to do is, with your shoulder partner, go ahead and use the following stem. One thing that stands out to me in this painting is, and then talk about the painting, okay? You have 2 minutes to do this. When I start a lesson, I usually conduct a structured conversation to help my students think about content and generate ideas before committing to writing. All right, so we're going to use this optics analysis tool to break down the visual that we're using today, which is a painting of Jamestown, okay? So what were some of the objects that we noted in the painting? I heard you say men, right? There were men working. As teachers, it's crucial that we model writing to learn tasks for our students. In this lesson, I took the opportunity to model my thinking when completing the optics analysis tool. I then left a sample posted so my students can reference it throughout the lesson.
People carrying lumber.
People carrying lumber. We're going to put people carrying things because they could be carrying anything, right? Carrying things. All right, so what about the people in the painting? Do we see a whole lot of children running around and women doing anything? What do we see? We see strictly a whole lot of men, right? Strictly men, absolutely. So just men, no children, no women. And there's a reason for that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. What I'd like for you to do next is go ahead and do the exact same thing we just did a few minutes ago. Take a minute, look at the painting on your own, okay? Notice anything that you want to discuss, because in a moment we're going to share using the same stem. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and share out using the stem. I'd like to start with Rosa. One thing that stands out to me in this painting is, and you have to use the stem, Rosa.
One thing that stands out to me in this painting is
I use stems as a scaffold throughout the lesson to encourage students to speak and write in complete sentences. I check for understanding and engagement by circulating amongst students, scanning their writing, and coaching them as needed. If I see a student struggling, I prompt them and encourage them to do their best to complete the task at hand. Great, 100%, fantastic. So now what I'd like for you to do is look at this anchor chart on the ESPN factors, our push-pull factors, right? Why they wanted to come or why they wanted to run, one or the other, right? Push or pull. So you're gonna need this because of the notes we're going to take in a moment based on the reading we just covered. I'd like to know if someone could share out one of the S's or P's that they identified in the text. So Sarah, what do you have for me?
Personal religion.
Right, so the freedom to practice your own personal religion. So that would be social or political?
Social.
Social. So, all right, so under social, freedom to practice religion. And what group of people was that, Sarah?
The Pilgrim.
The Pilgrims, also called the Puritans, right? Okay, so now you're going to reflect on the reading and your notes down here on the bottom of your two-sided notes, okay, in the reflection section. Okay, you're going to write your response in a complete sentence. Also, you want to make sure that you are using the word wall. So you're using your academic terms as well. We've covered most of these terms today, so feel free to look at the word wall and use it to help you when you're responding to your studies. Does that make sense? So I want you to go ahead and put those on the side because you're going to probably need them to reference in a few minutes when we're completing the rest of this lesson, and I will collect them at the end of the period and read through them tonight. I also encourage my students to use academic vocabulary by referencing the word wall, the ESPN anchor chart, and their notes from the structured conversation earlier that lesson. So you have a blue sticky note in front of you, and I'd like for you to go ahead and use this sticky note to respond to the 2 exit ticket questions that are posted on the board. So the first one is a question. I'd like you to think about that question and how it connects to your life personally. Okay, so it reads, what ESPN factors made your family settle here in Houston, Texas? So think about that. You have your notes. You also have the anchor charts. Feel free to look at either or to help you complete that question. And then you have a stem. One question I still have about Plymouth and Jamestown is, and this will help me understand what it is you still are a little confused about, so we can think about that tomorrow in our next lesson. One way I treat informal writing as formative assessment is by having students complete a reflection question and an exit ticket. I also gauge understanding of content by having students articulate a real-world connection. In this case, I had them discuss the ESPN factors that had their families move to Houston, Texas. When planning my lesson, I try to incorporate informal writing throughout each step of the lesson cycle. In this lesson, students had the opportunity to write when completing the optics analysis tool, their Cornell notes on ESPN factors, and their exit ticket.